Hey guys, how's it going? So in the shop, as always, working on the Spitfire, as always, a few steps back. So one thing I've noticed on this car since I started driving it was that it seemed like when I would come to a stop, sometimes when I'd come to a stop, especially hard, I would get a really horrible grinding noise from the front end. Um, and I figured out why. Um, so this car uses knockoff wheels. I think I've shown you those before. But there's a big wing nut on each wheel that gets threaded on, and that's actually tightens the wheel to the wheel hubs. And they're original wheels, so they're 55 years old presumably. So this is an adapter that's supposed to socket in here, and then it would bolt to, it's the same wheel pattern. Obviously, I've marked that left front. And the idea is that this thing gets bolted to the wheel hub, and then the wheel splines onto it. So you can see it's got threads for the wheel lug, the knockoff spinner thing, and it's got splines that should, foreshadowing, should keep the wheel in place, and then there's a taper here to seat the wheel against. Well, there's a little bit of a problem with that. This is the left front. It's not wanting to do it right now. Yeah, if I get that all the way seated in, yeah, so that's not good. Obviously, you would like your wheel to be attached to the car in such a way that it turns with the wheel hub, aka the brakes, aka, yeah. So, first problem, which I didn't know until I really started researching this, is that my wheel lugs are the wrong wheel lugs. So, wheel lugs sit in here. I've got studs that are on the wheel hubs, and these, bolt on there. It turns out that these are too big. They should look a lot like this, with I think a little bit smaller diameter, smaller hex, and then they should be tapered on both sides, the conical section. And if you look at this wheel, that's been the one that's been tied to this left front, you can see a nasty, horrible groove where those have been grinding into this. Now, that's bad. It's super bad if this is free spinning, but it also means, because it's going to grind and eventually, we're through, but also these are meant to seat this section of cone with this section of cone, and with this in there, it's riding on the tips of this lug nut instead. So yeah, that's a problem. The solution is to throw a unreasonable amount of money at this problem. I could buy new adapters. The splines are pretty worn out on this guy, and one of the others does work with this wheel. But then I've got A, a wheel that's already damaged, and B, with those splines that are being worn, I'm still going to have some wear possibility between the splines of the wheel and the splines of the adapter. So that's not going to happen. So a kit with new adapters and spinners and lug nuts is $400. So Monday-ish, hopefully, I'll have new wheels with new adapters, the proper lug nuts, everything. So that's exhibit the first. Yo, dog. Anyway, exhibit the second is this. This. So the problem that I thought I was having, I thought it was on this right front, and that was the left front. But what I noticed when I had the wheels off, tight, sorry, is I don't have the brake pads in right now. This is a dial indicator that reads in thousandths of an inch. And if you watch as I spin this, that needle's moving. So that was about the high spot, so we'll mark that at 30. And then as it comes back around, it's going way down to about 24 at its lowest, 23, 24. So that's 6 or 7 thou of run out. Now my factory service manual says 2 thou is acceptable, 2 thousandths of an inch. But somebody online told me it's 5 thousandths, so I'm pretty close to that. This is a cheap knockoff dial indicator. I don't know how accurate it is. It seems all right, but it's what I've got. I've got a nice Mitutoyo, but it's ancient and it's really not smooth, so I don't know if it's reading right. This is the best I've got. So this is after. On this side, you can see I've got an aluminum wheel hub here with a ginormous castellated nut, and some spacers and new bearings. And depending on when or where I measure and when I assemble stuff, it's that run out goes between like 6 thou and 12 thou. And just to prove to people that I'm not crazy, I thought my first step was to change out the brake rotor. I thought that was warped. I had it turned, I changed it out, and this is a brand new one. My second attempt was to change out wheel hubs. I switched to a used one. But you can see, even measuring on this, wheel hub surface, I've still got about 5 thou of run out. This is a new part. It's aluminum, it's CNC machined, and it's a new hub, a new rotor. So, and I've even switched out this wheel hub for one for the other side. They're not sided, and still have that run out. So my best guess right now is that, let me show you what this looks like off the car. This is the new spindle for the other side of the car, and you can see it's been turned, probably CNC again, and it presses in this end first, and then there's a lock nut on the back of that holds it in place. That's already been installed. These are the bearings. My best guess right now is that maybe I've got grease on this inner race when I assembled it, and that it's not letting it seat properly. So I'm gonna pull it apart again and try that. Try cleaning that. But this is the upright off of my parts car, and you can see it's got a taper here that spindle pulls into, and I'm wondering if maybe, it doesn't make any sense, but what if this taper was a unparalleled to this face? Maybe that's the problem. I doubt it. Obviously this is my parts one. I pulled it apart for testing to see how to figure out how to pull that apart. So I don't know. I think the grease is the most likely culprit right now, because it seems like every time I put this together, I end up with a slightly different amount of run out. So I think if I take all that grease off, make sure it's nice and clean, because this surface shouldn't, either the inner or the outer, the inner race here should not, it's actually part of this face, that shouldn't turn. That's pressed up against a little spacer, which I don't have handy. I've got it on the other side of the shop. But yeah, if anybody has any ideas, I'm gonna take this apart one last time and try that and see what happens. Oh yeah, here's the spacers. So there's one little one on the inside, and then one little one and one big one on the outside, just to space it out enough for the the big castle nut to get a grip. Maybe that's the problem. I don't know. But on a better news, sort of, on the other side of the shop, we have something new and shiny-ish. You may have noticed when I was doing my test drives that this car is hard to shift. So I splurged a little bit. This is a 4Synchro 1, 2, 3, 4 4Synchro. I'm guessing that's first gear and reverse, but I don't know how these work. It's all magic. Anyway, it's a 4Synchro gearbox, 3-rail, which is the same style I have. That just means how the shifters work. With this massive chunk of steel and other stuff. This is an overdrive. It's an electronically shifted overdrive. So my car will now have a 5th-ish gear. Once you get to top speed on the highway, or you get close to the speed you want to go, you shift into overdrive and it drops the RPMs by 20-30%, I think. So I just got this in yesterday. I had it professionally built. This is not off of my car. I bought it with a core exchange, but I had this professionally done for me because this is it's just madness. The parts diagram for this thing is enormous. I'm not going to even think about trying to do that myself. So yeah, what you might notice is that it's kind of missing some stuff, and this is why. Unfortunately, this wasn't shipped very well, which happens, no big deal. But one of these studs broke off. There should be 4 of those in this top plate. This is the shifter linkage. The 3 rails are these. You can see the 3 rails right there. So that broke off. The guy that built this for me, good guy. It's taken a while because of, COVID parts stuff. But he's going to ship me a whole new unit of this with new gaskets, and I'll just swap that over. I can't swap it from my car because this is a little bit different for the overdrive. But yeah, that's going to go in soon. The first thing is obviously the wheels. I can't drive the car with the wheel trying to fall off. That's just stupid. But it came with a nice set of, a decent set of instructions, not as much as I would like, but all the mounts and stuff. I may have to switch this. This is the flange for the drive shaft. He said I'm going to have to switch that out. I don't necessarily buy it. It looks like the same thing to me, but if it's the case, I do. And I'll get the drive shaft rebalanced while it's out of the car. I'm done messing with U-joints on this car. I'm going to take it to a shop. But yeah, that's about it. My neighbor's down there. It's my neighbor down there. It's a 40-something Ford truck. He's fixing up. But yeah, this box came in. So yeah, anyway, that's the extent of it. So the goal today is to finish. Oh yeah, there's the driver's side, and you can see I haven't done anything to that. So since I rebuilt the car, it's got the original steel wheel hub on it and a rusty brake rotor that's not bedding in properly. I gotta figure that out. But I've got new rotors, so something might be wrong with my calipers, which is not a huge deal. Anyway, car still runs. I am in the process of trying to rebuild this is not a very useful example, but this is a dual gauge. If you see, there's 2 spindles there for needles. One is for oil pressure and one is for water temperature, and it uses this capillary tube full of ether. Anyway, I'm trying to get one of those working that will fit my car with the right style gauges and the right lighting. I've got like 3 of them I'm piecing together, and I gotta figure that out. That'll be another video if I can figure out how to fix them. Yeah, I do think I'm gonna paint this. Obviously I'll have to degrease it and stuff a bunch of rags in here because there's some oil in there from when he leak tested it. And there's a fair amount of work to install this thing, but it's not horrible. But I think I'll paint it silver to match that, because I have some silver paint that's easy to put on. I don't have to worry about all this crap. As long as I get it somewhat clean and wire brushed, it'll be fine. Obviously I'll tape everything up before I do that, so I don't get crap into it. Yeah, anyway, it's all good. So hopefully we'll have this thing back on the road soon. The wheels should be here Monday. Today's Saturday. I'm gonna swap out the tires. My tires are brand new. They've got like 75 miles on them. So I'm just gonna take it to a shop and have them pull these tires off, put them on the new wheels. I'm running 155 ADR 13s. These are cheap. But yeah, that's what I'm running. And the new wheels are they're gonna be chrome for one thing, which I think will look a little bit better and stay easier to clean than these were. Obviously I didn't do a ton of work on these, but these are painted. And they're an inch wider, but I'm gonna still have them hopefully put these tires on the other wheels. So that way in the future, if I want to take this, it'll just give me a little bit more grip, hopefully, which we all know I need to get a grip. So anyway, I'm out. Thanks for watching.